Hey, what's up guys? It's Adam from Lazy Guy DIY, and today we are going to be doing a tool comparison, and believe it or not, these tools are from 2018. Why are we reviewing tools from 2018? Well, the reason for that is 23 gauge battery powered pin nailers are not very common, and you guys have been asking a lot about a review. And believe it or not, these two right here make up 2/3 of the battery power market. The only other one that I can find is the Makita, which I cannot show on my channel, but I'll talk about that a little bit as well. I have not used it, but I have used the Makita and I have used the Ryobi. So let's start talking about these. First up, we're going to be talking about the Ryobi. This is their 23 gauge Airstrike series. If you're not familiar with Airstrike series from Ryobi, you should, because the 18 gauge and the 16 gauge are fantastic for the finished nailers. So check this out. They're good bargain buys. They run forever. They're definitely worth looking into if you're looking for any sort of pneumatics. Otherwise, they're battery powered. But for this one, it retails now at this point as a bare tool for $129 at your Home Depot. There are some great features about this. One thing I do not have, because I've had this for 3 years, is there is a little gauge that goes on here that you can set exactly so it'll go against a fence or whatever else right there, and then you can go to the exact same level, which is nice, which the other one does not have that. One thing that you do want to notice on here as well is there is a little trigger here, and the reason for that is if you pull this trigger and you don't do that, it won't fire like most of the pin nailers, but this one you can fire away. So this runs on the Ryobi 1 Plus 18 volt battery line, which has a ton of tools on it. So if you have the batteries, it's worth staying on this line. And we'll show you a little more about this one in a bit. All right, so the second one we're going to review is the Makita. It runs on the LXT battery platform here. If you notice, this one is very dusty. It's because I've had it for over 3 years. So the thing about the Makita here is this is a Gen 2 model. There was one that came out before this that people absolutely hated. It had lots of issues with jamming and other things. So this is the second gen version that they came out with, and they haven't changed it since. So it apparently is going fairly well. There is no safety as far as what the Ryobi had, but there is a lock on here, so if you don't want to accidentally fire, but otherwise you pull the trigger, you just go. One other little feature that's nice with this one is you have your soft tip like you had on the Ryobi, but you have an extra one down here as well. So if you lose it, damage it, and you need another one, hey, you have one on board and you don't have to go searching for it. But as I mentioned, these make up only 2/3 of what is the market of 23 gauge battery pin nailers. If I miss one other than that Makita that's out there, let me know in the comments, but I could not find one other than the normal pneumatics hook up to an air compressor. So let's take a closer look at these now that you've seen these one-on-one, and let's see them in action. So while we're looking at some updated features here up close on the Ryobi, one thing I will note is that Ryobi does a great job with their Airstrike series. I said it earlier, but they have perfected the nail gun, and the 23 gauge shows all the bells and whistles here that it needs to. It loads easily. That little safety trigger is a little annoying, but that's very common now on the newer nail guns. The work light's in a great spot. It's comfortable to use. It's not too heavy, and it's all around pretty good nail gun. As for the Makita, this is the second gen, as I mentioned. They do a lot of things right, but Makita does not make a ton of nail guns. The 23 gauge is one of the only ones. They have pneumatics that do go on compressor and air hose, but this is actually a good gun, and it's surprising that they don't have more of these. You can see on here that there is the adjustment here, so you can dial in, as I mentioned before, and you do have the extra tip. So there are a lot of things that are nice about this that I do recommend. Now, when it comes to actual use here, I'm going to have the sound still going in the background so you can hear. There is a different noise. The Ryobi is definitely a lot more high pitch and mechanical. And when you get to the Makita here, it is a little bit quieter. So if that matters to you, go for it. But otherwise, these things are almost identical. Okay, now that we've looked at both of these, who am I taking in this head-to-head? For this one, for the Makita, it is $179. You can find it on Amazon at this point. That's pretty much the only place that I can find it, other than a couple of random tool companies that you can find online. The Ryobi you can find at Home Depot and a couple of few places as well that sells Ryobi aftermarket. But when it comes down to it, $129, $179. Batteries are definitely more expensive for Makita than the Ryobi. The one thing that I'll show you that is a little bit different is if you see on the Ryobi here, there's no way to open this thing up or to dial it in if you need it to shoot a little bit deeper, at least for this one. And there also is no jam release that you can open up on here, but you can dial it in if you do need to go a little bit deeper if your pin is showing a little bit proud. So for that, I will say that the Makita does have a few better bells and whistles, but otherwise they shoot the exact same nails, pins from 1/2 inch to 1 3/8. It really honestly depends on the battery platform that you're on. I don't use pin nailers a ton, so for me, I would just grab the quick one that's the cheapest. But again, we're only talking $50 here, and Amazon Prime, guys, you can get this next day, or you can order it and it gets shipped, or you can find it in store. So I mean, it's pretty much a toss-up at this point. I have not used the Metabo, like I said, so that one is $219, and you can buy it online at various places in one of those other stores that I cannot mention. But for $219, I'm not going to use a pin nailer and justify that price. So thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed this review. If you liked it, make sure you subscribe up here and check out this other review down here. Thanks, guys. Thanks for following along. We'll see you on the next one.